that have you ever been sitting across from a man, sipping your drink, chatting, laughing, when suddenly something changes, his voice drops a little lower, his eyes linger a little longer, and the way he speaks feels different. You can't quite put your finger on it, but deep down, he wants you. The question is, how do you know for sure? What are the signs that give him away, even when he thinks he's being subtle? See, here's the truth. Men are not as smooth as they think they are. A guy might believe he's keeping it cool, but desire has a funny way of slipping through the cracks. It comes out in the little things he says, the compliments that sound innocent but carry heat, the playful lines that feel more like testing the waters than casual jokes, or even the suggestions he makes that hint at wanting to extend the night. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most women hear these lines but don't decode them. They either brush them off as harmless, or worse, they miss the deeper meaning behind the words. But once you know what to listen for, it's like turning on night vision goggles. You suddenly see everything he's trying to hide. And let me tell you something powerful. When you can spot those signs early, you hold all the control. You're not guessing. You're not confused. You know exactly when a man's attraction has crossed over into desire. And that, my friend, is where you get to make the choice. Because here's the part men don't want you to know. They'll never say outright, I want to sleep with you. Why? Because it sounds needy, it sounds desperate, and men hate the idea of looking like they're trying too hard. So instead they disguise it, they wrap it up in charm, in jokes, in flirty little hints. But if you know the code, you can see right through it. So today I'm going to show you exactly what those hidden lines sound like. The 5 things a man will say without even realizing that reveal what's really on his mind. And trust me, once you learn this, you'll never look at a man's words the same way again. All right, ladies, let's dive into the first hidden clue a man gives away when he wants to sleep with you. It's in his compliments, but not just any compliments, the ones that linger, the ones that carry heat. Let me explain. We've all heard the classic compliments, you look nice, or that's a pretty dress, polite, friendly. The kind of thing your coworker might say when you show up at the office in a new outfit. Those are surface level. They make you smile, but they don't make your stomach flip. Now compare that to when a man locks eyes with you and says, slower, lower, wow, you look incredible tonight. I can't stop staring. Do you feel the difference? That's not admiration. That's hunger sneaking into his words. The way he says it matters just as much as what he says. If his compliment feels like it lingers in the air, if you feel his eyes holding onto you even after he's done speaking, that's a man whose mind is not just on your hair or your outfit, it's on you. Here's what's fascinating. Men often don't realize they're doing this. They think they're just paying you a compliment, but their tone betrays them. Desire leaks through. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. It always finds a way out. A quick question for you. Have you ever had a man compliment you and suddenly you weren't sure if you should say thank you or blush? That's the line we're talking about here. That awkward little pause where you can feel there's more behind his words. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're at dinner and he says, that dress is so beautiful on you. That's polite. But if he leans in, looks you up and down slowly and says, that dress is dangerous. I can't even think straight right now. That's not fashion commentary. That's desire dressed up as a compliment. Another version of this is when he singles out something physical in a way that feels a little more personal. You have the most kissable lips, or I can't get over how good you smell. Notice he's not complimenting your personality or your taste in music. He's complimenting something tangible, something sensual. And those kinds of compliments almost always point to one thing: he's imagining being closer, much closer. Now, here's the empowering part for you. Once you can tell the difference between a polite compliment and a compliment with desire behind it, you get to decide how to play it. You can lean into it, maybe tease him back, throw a little smirk, or even call him out playfully. Careful, you're giving yourself away. Or you can pull back. Maybe you're not ready, maybe you're not interested, but at least you're not left guessing. You know exactly where he stands, and that confidence, that's magnetic. Because ladies, here's the truth: attraction is natural, desire is powerful, but your response determines the outcome. You're the one holding the steering wheel. So the next time a man compliments you, don't just listen to the words, listen to the way he says them, feel the energy behind them. If it lingers, if it feels heavy, If it gives you that little shiver down your spine, congratulations, you just caught his hidden signal. And trust me, this is just the first of 5. If you thought that was obvious, wait until you hear what he does next, because the next one isn't just in his words, it's in his timing. Now, let's talk about one of the clearest signs that a man's intentions aren't just friendly, they're physical. And it shows up in what I like to call the late night suggestion. See, men understand something very instinctively. The night carries a different energy. Think about it. During the day, things feel structured, busy, full of responsibility. But as soon as the sun goes down, the mood shifts, the world feels slower, quieter, more intimate. And he knows it. So if a guy is suggesting plans that stretch past the normal date hours, that's rarely an accident, it's strategic. He might say, hey, let's grab one more drink before we call it a night. Or why don't we hang out at my place for a little bit? It's right around the corner. Sounds casual, right? But what he's really doing is testing the waters. Ladies, think back. Have you ever noticed how men magically get more creative about extending the evening once it's late? That's not because they suddenly turned into social butterflies. It's because the later it gets, the more opportunity there is for intimacy. Now, let's break down why this is such a big sign. During the day, a guy might suggest coffee, brunch, or a quick lunch. Those things are safe, neutral. They're about conversation. But at night, when he's inviting you to keep the moment going, he's opening the door, literally and figuratively, to a space where things feel different. And notice this, he'll phrase it in a way that seems harmless, like it's no big deal. I've got this bottle of wine at home we never opened. You should come by. He's making it sound casual so he doesn't scare you off. But underneath, the suggestion is loaded. He's not picturing the wine. He's picturing what might happen after. Now, here's the fun part for you. You get to read between the lines. When a man is angling for more time with you at night, he's not just saying he enjoys your company. He's saying, I want the chance for this connection to get physical. And here's something else to notice. If you say no, and he takes it gracefully, that tells you something about his respect level. But if he pushes or keeps bringing it up, that tells you something else entirely. Have you ever had a guy try to convince you to come back to his place after dinner and you knew exactly what was on his mind? Drop a IS in the comments if that's ever happened, because I promise you, you're not alone. Here's another layer to this. Sometimes the late night suggestion isn't about going to his place at all. It could be something like, let's take a walk. I don't want the night to end yet. Again, sounds sweet, but trust me, if he's looking at you with that glint in his eye while he says it, he's not just hoping for conversation under the stars. Now, does this mean every late night suggestion is a bad thing? Of course not, it's fun. Sometimes it's exciting. Sometimes you might even want exactly what he wants. But what matters most is that you recognize it for what it is, a signal, a clue that his attraction has turned into desire. And the moment you see that clearly, you're in control. You're not guessing. You know his intention, which means you decide, do you extend the night or do you end it on your terms? Because ladies, remember this when he suggests keeping the night going. It's never just about the night. It's about what he hopes will happen after. And whether that happens or not, that's always your choice. All right, ladies, here's where it gets interesting, because sometimes it's not even what he says that gives him away, it's what he does. And one of the biggest clues that a man wants to sleep with you is in the way he touches you. Now, I'm not talking about anything dramatic. I'm not saying he's grabbing you or being over the top. No, most men are way more subtle than that. What I'm talking about is the kind of touch that looks innocent on the outside, but on the inside, it's charged with intention. Think about it. You're walking through a doorway and his hand lightly touches the small of your back. Innocent, maybe, but notice, does it stay there for just a beat longer than necessary? Does it linger? That extra second is his giveaway. Or maybe you're laughing at something and he casually places his hand on your arm, but instead of pulling it back right away, he leaves it there. That's not just friendliness, that's desire testing the waters. Let me ask you this, have you ever had a guy touch you in such a subtle way that you weren't sure if it was accidental or completely intentional? That moment of hesitation you felt, that's exactly where his secret slips out. Here's the truth men know that touch is powerful. A simple brush of his hand across yours, A light squeeze on your shoulder, even a playful nudge, it creates a spark. And if he's into you physically, he'll look for reasons to make that spark happen. And he'll often disguise it. He'll say something like, "Wow, you're freezing. Let me warm your hands," while holding onto them longer than necessary. Or, "Your skin is so soft after a playful touch. Notice how quickly it shifts from innocent to intimate." And here's the kicker, he might not even realize how obvious it is, because for him it feels natural. His body is simply following his desire. But for you, if you're tuned in, it's crystal clear. Here's something fun to try the next time a man touches you like that. Watch his face immediately after. Does he pull back and smirk? Does he look at you a little longer, like he's waiting to see your reaction? That microsecond tells you everything. Now, the empowering part for you is this: you get to decide what to do with that touch. If you like him, you can lean into it, smile, hold his gaze, maybe even mirror it with your own little touch. That signals back, "I see you, and I feel it too." But if you're not interested, you can keep your energy firm and neutral, creating distance without even saying a word. And trust me, he'll get the message. Because ladies, here's the truth. Touch is like a preview. It's the trailer before the movie. If he's touching you in ways that linger, he's already imagining what it would be like to go further. And whether he gets that chance or not, that's not his choice, it's yours. So the next time his hand brushes yours, or he leans in a little too close, or that so-called innocent touch stays just a moment too long, don't ignore it, recognize it. Because that's not just affection, that's his desire showing up without permission. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Now, ladies, let's talk about one of the most revealing and often overlooked signs that a man wants to sleep with you. And it's this: he slips into a fantasy. He doesn't even realize he's doing it, but his words paint a picture of what he's secretly imagining. Here's what it sounds like. You're in the middle of a fun conversation and suddenly he says something like, "If you were in my bed, I'd never let you sleep," or "I'd make you breakfast in the morning, but only after." At first, it sounds like he's joking. He probably delivers it with a laugh, maybe even throws in a cheeky smile. But ladies, don't be fooled. Jokes are often truths wrapped in laughter. He's revealing what's really on his mind, but disguising it as play. Quick check in: have you ever had a guy joke about you too in a way that made you blush and think, wait, is he serious? That right there, that's a future fantasy slip. Why do men do this? Because it feels safer. Saying outright, "I want you," feels too forward, too risky. But if he couches it in humor, it gives him a safety net. If you laugh along, he feels like he scored. If you look uncomfortable, he can quickly backtrack with, "Relax. I'm just kidding." But here's the key: he's not kidding, he's testing. He's dropping little hints to see how you'll react. And notice how specific these fantasies often are. It's not just, "I like you." It's, "I'd never let you leave my bed," or "I'd cook you pancakes in the morning after." These aren't random. They're intimate scenarios he's already picturing in his head. Sometimes it's even more subtle. He might say, "Imagine if we were stuck on an island together, we'd never survive. We'd drive each other crazy." Sounds silly, right? But underneath, he's picturing you and him alone together, and not because he's planning a survival trip. Here's something powerful for you. When you spot a fantasy slip, you instantly know two things: he's thinking about intimacy and he's brave enough to test the waters. That tells you where his mind is and how much risk he's willing to take to get closer. Now, what do you do when you hear this? Well, that depends. If you like him, you can playfully volley it back. For example, if he says, "I'd make you breakfast in bed," you could smile and say, "Really? What's on the menu?" That keeps the flirtation alive, but still on your terms. If you're not feeling it, you don't need to laugh or encourage it. You can redirect, keep it light, or simply not bite. He'll get the message quickly when his little test doesn't land. Because ladies, here's the truth: when a man slips into fantasy mode, it's not random, it's desire sneaking out through his imagination. And once you hear it, you'll realize he's not just talking, he's revealing. So pay attention to those little what-if jokes. They may sound playful, but they're often the clearest window into what he's picturing with you. And once you recognize it, you hold all the power. You get to choose: do you step into the fantasy with him, or do you close the book and leave him dreaming? All right, ladies, we've reached the final and possibly the most subtle sign that a man wants to sleep with you, the "you deserve" line. At first glance, it might sound innocent, maybe even thoughtful. He might say something like, "You deserve someone who treats you the way you should be treated, someone who makes you feel amazing." And on the surface, you might think, wow, that's sweet. But here's the thing, these lines are rarely just about kindness. They're a veiled signal of desire. Why? Because when a man uses this phrase, he's hinting, without ever saying it outright, that he wants to be that someone. He's not just admiring you, he's imagining himself in the position of giving you that pleasure, that attention, that intimacy. Think of it like this. He's framing his desire as care. He's saying, "You deserve me," without the arrogance. It's a clever way of letting you know what's on his mind while staying respectful. And that's exactly why it works. Ladies, pause for a moment. Have you ever had a man say something that felt incredibly thoughtful, but also made your heart race a little? That's what we're talking about. That little dual signal, sweetness wrapped in subtle intention, is a powerful indicator of his attraction. And here's the subtle genius behind it. Men often understand that directly expressing desire, "I want to sleep with you," can feel pushy or aggressive. So instead, they hide it in a line that's emotionally flattering. They want you to feel valued, appreciated, and simultaneously, they're planting a seed of intimacy. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine he says, "You deserve someone who can make you feel incredible in every way." He could be talking about emotional support, friendship, or general care, but his tone, his gaze, the way he says it often points to the physical connection he's imagining. It's a subtle mix of respect and desire. Here's another example he might comment. "You deserve someone who makes you feel desired, who knows exactly how to make you feel wanted." Do you see it? That's not just admiration. That's a window into what he's fantasizing about doing with you, but phrased in a way that sounds classy, safe, and considerate. Now, here's the power move for you. When you hear this, you get to interpret it and respond on your terms. You can tease him, play along, flirt back. Or if you're not ready or not interested, you can simply acknowledge it and set your boundaries. The key is, you know exactly what's behind the line. Because ladies, that's the magic of the "you deserve" line. It's emotional, respectful, and enticing all at once. It's the perfect example of desire disguised as thoughtfulness. And when you catch it, you realize he's giving you a peek into his intentions without ever having to say the words outright. So the next time a man tells you something along the lines of "you deserve someone amazing," pay attention. Listen not just to the words, but to the tone, the timing, and the way he looks at you. Chances are he's not just talking about kindness, he's revealing desire. And now you hold the key to decide whether you step forward, play along, or pull back. Remember, attraction is natural, but your awareness turns it into power points. So ladies, here's the truth. Men rarely come out and say, "I want to sleep with you." Instead, they drop little clues, hints, and playful lines that reveal exactly what's on their mind. From lingering compliments to late night suggestions, from subtle touches to tiny fantasy slips, and even the way they frame desire as "you deserve." If you know what to listen for, it's impossible to miss. But here's the most important part. Noticing these signs doesn't mean you have to act on them. You're the one in control. You get to decide if you lean in, flirt back, or simply hold your boundaries. That awareness, that's power. And confidence is the most irresistible thing a woman can have. So my question to you is this: how will you use this knowledge? Will you tease a little, play along, or simply enjoy the thrill of catching him off guard? Remember, attraction is natural, but access is earned. And understanding these hidden signals gives you the choice. If you loved learning these secrets and want more insider tips on reading men, keeping the spark alive, and owning your confidence in any situation, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a video. And here's a little challenge for you. Next time a man gives you one of these signals, notice it, playfully acknowledge it, and see how it changes the dynamic. Comment below with which signal surprised you the most. I read every single one, because ladies' attraction may be his, but control, that's always yours.